back with another episode of Local Roots. Hi, I'm Todd Studer. Well, as many of you know, and many of you have experienced, there's been some pretty big water issues going on in a lot of communities around southwest Iowa. Just a lack of water, boil orders have been in place, and it's really been tough on a lot of communities. And one of those communities that has been struggling is the city of Avoca. Now, that boil order was lifted last week. However, there is still a lot of making up to do because many businesses suffered in Avoca after all of this happened. And folks just stayed home. They didn't go and visit the businesses. They didn't eat in the restaurants and things like that. So the city of Avoca is doing something about that. There is something coming up on Friday the 13th. It's called Pour Into Avoca. And this is a reminder that, hey, your businesses are still here. Let's come out and show them some love. And to talk more about it today is Amber Mohr. Amber is the executive director of the Avoca Mainstreet, and we will be talking with her about that, about how things have been going for them there, and just what it's like to be doing business in the community of Avoca, Iowa. So all of that is on today's program. Castle & Associates of American Family Insurance is your local insurance provider for all of your home, auto, life, business, and farm insurance needs. With 4 convenient locations in Trainer, Council Bluffs, Bellevue, and Elkhorn. They are local and in your neighborhood, ready to help you navigate the complexities of insurance today. Travis and his team educate, advise, and simplify insurance, all to protect those things you cherish most. Give them a call for your free quote. And do you or does someone you love need in-home care? Home Care Advocacy Network helps you maintain your own privacy in your own space while still receiving care and support with a personalized touch. Aging in place can be critical for many people. Home Care Advocacy Network can meet those needs with an understanding that assisted living is best at home. HCAN of Southwest Iowa brings the personal touch to care in communities all across Southwest Iowa. Visit hcan.com/Southwest Iowa to learn more. Joining us this morning, it is Amber Mohr. She is the executive director of Avoca Mainstreet. Amber, thank you so much for your time. And also, I'm sure that you have to be breathing a little bit of a sigh of relief because all of the water issues that you've been experiencing, at least for now, they've lifted the boil advisory for now, correct?
Correct. The boil order has been lifted for Avoca since Sunday.
So, but also, if I was reading correctly, they are still asking people to conserve water. Is that correct?
That's correct. We were in a red level advisory during the boil order, and that's been reduced to a yellow level advisory, which we've been at for the last 3 years.
Oh, so there's nothing different with that. People are used to that. So
they are used to it. It doesn't mean they're not inconvenienced, but they're used to it.
that is true. You having the position that you have with Avoca Mainstreet have been very much involved with everything that's been going on over the last few weeks because businesses in Avoca have taken a serious hit because of this. It's really been difficult for them.
It has, our hardest hit are, of course, our restaurants and our taverns, our bakery, our coffee shop. Obviously, a lot of times customers have concerns about what standards they're maintaining for safety and health. All of our businesses, I have to applaud because their communication with customers was top notch and their health standards were top notch. But at the same time, it still made a lot of customers nervous. So they stayed home rather than elect to go out during the boil order. But other places, like our dentist's office had to bring in water for every appointment. That's a lot of water.
I wouldn't even, wow, I never would have thought about that industry because they use a lot of water there. And so, yeah, it's just a constant need to be able to serve their patients that way. And also with the restaurants, what is the mood like now? Now that the boil order has been lifted, it's not going to undo the last 3 weeks, but hopefully spirits a little better.
Spirits are definitely better. We try to stay somewhat on the pessimistic side on how long the boil order might last, just so, we could be prepared. So it was lifted a little sooner than I think folks were anticipating in our downtown district, which was a relief. But at the same time, we had a lot of scrambling to do just in terms of communication, preparedness, organizing. Many different institutions and individuals have, our best interests at heart. So there's a lot of communication going back and forth between what we could do that would best help our downtown businesses at that time.
Was there any idea at all that when this boil order went into effect that the fallout would be this? Were you thinking that, or did it just happen?
We live in a rural area, my family and I, and so we've had a boil order once for most of a summer. That was a very unusual circumstance. And so I assumed this boil order would be a couple days kind of thing. I did not think it would last for 3 business weeks, like it did. That was a surprise. And again, like, I don't think we could have been prepared for that necessarily, except just, responding in real time like we did.
But also with the drop of business that
Mhm.
all the businesses there in Avoca, did they think that that was going to happen from the order, or was that part itself like kind of a fallout from it that they weren't expecting?
I think a lot of them weren't expecting it. And I know I wasn't. I talked to we have, dozens of volunteers that work with our organization, and discussing with them, most of them didn't change any of their purchasing habits. So we were, as individuals, kind of surprised. But in talking with our restaurant owners, our bakery, they were getting calls every day. Is the boil order lifted? It's not yet. Okay. Thank you. I'll call back again and hope that it is. So understandably, a lot of individuals had real concerns. Like I said, despite the best efforts and full coherence with health guidelines, they still wanted to stay home for safety.
Well, that fortunately is in the rearview mirror now. So now comes, how do we put things back to some semblance of normal? And one of the ways that you're doing this, I'm not sure whose idea this is, but it's I think it's kind of genius. There's an event coming up called Pour Into Avoca that is designed to encourage everyone. Hey, come on back. We're open. Everything is okay now, and let us get back to serving you.
Yes, exactly. I think it probably coalesced organically through conversations with our city administrator, myself, our WIDA coordinators, Stacy Kinney, and then Pottawatomie County's Kate Gerber. But Kate initiated it through Pot County. And so the Pour Into Avoca event is going to be Friday the 13th in June. Hopefully it's a lucky day for our businesses. We're an economic center to a lot of smaller communities around us. So we hope this really expands our regional reach. People from the wider county area come down because we've got a lot of unique businesses. And I'm hopeful that our businesses can really attract return customers after that time to kind of hopefully keep the benefits coming.
Well, I have seen communities respond in a time of need. We've seen it over and over again. We saw it last year when the tornadoes hit, and so many communities were greatly affected by that, and everybody turned out so quickly that they actually had to turn folks
They turned
away.
away donate. I know, and
Yeah,
we have the best customers. We really do.
and so I'm pretty confident that you'll see it again, because this is something that is inherent in small towns, and especially in small town Iowa,
Hmm.
that we take care of each other, and we make sure that our neighbors are first and foremost in our minds. And right now, it's big because these businesses weren't anticipating a full 3 week stop when they set their budget for the year. So while the entire thing can't be made up on one day,
Hmm.
it can help, and it can kind of give it a little boost to put things back to where normal needs to be.
Yeah, and I think it's an important opportunity to give customers too, just to let them know, hey, you can come out and show support. We know you didn't feel comfortable maybe during the boil order event, but this is an event where you can show that you're here, you're back, and you continue to support the downtown businesses.
And how about for folks that maybe haven't been to Avoca for a while, or possibly, I mean, this show reaches out pretty wide. So maybe you've never been to Avoca. What a great time to come, because there's going to be, all of these different events. I'm sure the businesses are going to do something special because of it.
They've
So,
encouraged them all to do
yeah.
something, to either have a special that day, to definitely staff up, especially if they're a service oriented business, and to do something to encourage customers to come back, bring in a receipt from your visit and get a discount off your next order. Each business is going to handle that on their own because they know their business and their customers best. But we really do hope that it introduces a lot more people to our downtown district businesses, our citywide businesses. We've got excellent restaurants. I mean, Avocans, especially for our size, are, I don't want to say spoiled, that has a negative connotation to it. Fortunate, extremely fortunate in all that we have available to us.
I'm okay with spoiled too, because I'll take advantage of that. And yeah, Avoca is a wonderful community, and has been, I first was introduced to it back in the '90s, and have been around since then. So always thrilled anytime that I have a chance to get over that direction and to enjoy some of the great things that Avoca has. Um, at this point, I'm sure that there is still some concern about the future and, okay, what are we doing, if anything, that we can keep this from happening again? And is there any indication at all that that's the direction that things are going? I mean, you may not know the answer to this, but is that something that's on people's minds?
It is on people's minds, and I cannot give a complete response just because that's mostly been between our city administrator and the
Mm-hmm.
Rural Water Services, which the city is a customer of. But we've been reassured that there are, safety measures in place so that if this happens again, it won't have the kind of length of impact that this one did. And I trust that they have looked at all the circumstances that caused this and have better provisions in place. For our downtown district, we again, once word got out rather quickly. I had relatives in Minnesota that were calling me and saying they'd heard about it. So we did, like I said, get some nice responses from corporations, from organizations and individuals. And it was sort of, okay, quickly respond to organizing those. I think as a downtown district, we're going to be able to respond to those quicker and reach out to those individuals right away and organizations and say, hey, yeah, if you can, we've already got a bay ready for you. If you can bring that donated bottled water, we'll take it. And, those kinds of things. So we learned some new techniques ourselves. Hopefully we don't have to use them again, but we're prepared.
It seems like I keep saying over and over the last couple of weeks that you don't know what you don't know. And it is just an old cliche that seems to be fairly relevant in my life lately. But this is one of those cases that there's some things that I'm assuming it just never occurred to anybody that we need to prepare for businesses not to have any customers for 3 weeks.
Yeah. I mean, and each business really was unique. And again, I'm going to applaud my business owners for contacting the Department of Health and going through each of their levels of operations to make sure they were in compliance. But, from anything from pedicures to, proofing dough that has a moisture content to it to, rinsing items in bottled water versus, the tap water. Like I mentioned, their dentist had to haul in a lot of water in order to continue serving patients. Even just, our taverns, even though, a lot of them is opening a can downtown, like their fountain beverages is dependent on a full ice bucket. So they had to leave contaminated ice in there, potentially contaminated ice, I should say, in order to keep their fountain cold enough. But then their expenses go up because they're only opening, canned drinks to mix with any of the liquors because you can't use the fountain beverage. So it was each business taught me a lot about what they had to go through to mitigate this, and they all did an excellent job.
Yeah, and it's Avoca was not alone in this. A lot of communities went through this, so I'm sure that there's been communication going back and forth. And knowing what I know about Southwest Iowa, we're all in it together, and
Yep.
we all want to be able to support each other. So again, Pour Into Avoca is coming up on Friday the 13th. Is there like an official kickoff time for this, or how does this work?
It's not an official kickoff time. It's just any time that day that you planned on spending dollars and you think you could make those dollars come into Avoca businesses, try and do that, whether you're planning on buying coffee at 7 a.m. or having a drink right before midnight, anytime during that day. You can even say after midnight at the taverns, honestly.
That is it's great that this has happened and that so many people have pulled together and are working together to do all of this. And thank you for all of your hard work in keeping everybody informed and helping lead the charge with bringing all of this back together again. You're doing some wonderful work there. So,
well, thank you. As you said, we have a lot of support and we have great volunteers and great business owners and customers.
She is Amber Mohr, the executive director of Avoca Mainstreet. Pour Into Avoca is Friday the 13th. Get on the road, get over to Avoca and shop in some of the businesses, have dinner, grab a drink, all of the things. Amber, thank you so much for your time. And don't be a stranger. Come on back with us.
I will do that. Thank you, Todd.
If you need metal fabrication done right, look no further than Foxco Fabrication in Council Bluffs. From custom welding to large-scale manufacturing, they bring your ideas to life with expert craftsmanship and cutting-edge technology. Whether it's industrial, commercial, or custom fabrication, they're going to get the job done on time and built to last. Take a look at some of their projects, their signs, the etchings on cups, laser engravings, all of that. Look at foxcofab.com, and you can even place your order there as well. If you have a leak, a clogged drain, or planning a big remodel, Waldstein Plumbing in Council Bluffs has you covered. Fast, reliable service and expert craftsmanship, handling everything from small repairs to major installations. Locally owned and trusted, they take pride in doing the job right the first time. Residential or commercial, big or small, when plumbing problems strike, call Waldstein Plumbing. Visit Waldstein Plumbing for a free estimate. And that's going to wrap up the show on this Monday. Thank you so much for joining me and being a part of things. Don't forget, Pour Into Avoca this Friday and get on out. Show some love to the Avoca residents and the Avoca businesses. And let's see if we can't help turn the tide back and get things a little bit closer to normal. How about that? My name's Todd Studer, and we'll see you again right here tomorrow morning.